and knock yourselves out.
Okay.
Okay, so can you explain to me the gist of your research?
Okay, so what we found is that there's a part of the brain called the basolateral amygdala, and the nerve cells there, when they're active, they tell your brain that there's risks, and if they're not active, they tell you that it's safe. So it's a risk-reward calculation that the brain makes on an ongoing basis. The chemical messengers in the brain, one is called neuropeptide Y, or NPY, and the other is called corticotropin releasing factor, or CRF. And NPY makes you think that the risks are lower, and CRF makes you think that the risks are higher. And in anxiety, the risks appear to be greater than they really are. And so there's a disconnect between your perception of the world and what your brain is telling you about the risk. So we're interested in this mechanism. And what we found is that NPY and CRF act on the same machinery in these nerve cells, and NPY inhibits it, and CRF excites it. So what it means is that we have a new drug target for trying to treat anxiety disorders like panic disorder or post-traumatic stress disorder. And this will allow us to understand exactly where to work. Up to now, medicines that work on panic disorder, PTSD, tend to work on many large systems in the brain, such as the GABA system, such as the serotonin system. And because of that, there are all sorts of adverse effects, side effects, or unpleasant effects, because the entire brain is affected. So what we're hoping is that that something that targets this mechanism might be much more selective for the anxiety causing changes in the brain that people who suffer anxiety disorders undergo.
And what are the next steps?
Well, we're trying to understand why this happens in a short-term basis, but now we'd like to know what happens on a longer-term basis, because it appears that this whole anxiety behavior can be learned. That is, if the changes happen in the brain, and it relates to NPY and CRF. So we're trying to understand if this ion channel is involved, or if the receptors are involved, or if something novel has changed. So NIH has funded us for 5 years to study that in sort of longer-term experiments.
And how soon do you think a new drug will be available for people with anxiety disorders?
Sadly, once we've understood it, then the drug companies can start working on the target. It usually takes about 10 years or more to bring a new drug to market once they've understood what the mechanism is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Thanks so